realistic notion that they need to help a nation that they have no direct link to. If I'm a leader of X country, I should be concerned about X country more than I'm concerned about the plight of whatever country. That's my duty and job. I think it's very interesting that most politicians in the world today don't seem to give a shit at all about their constituents. They care about aligning themselves to higher ideologies and self-imploding their own countries and the living standards for this ideology.
Yeah.
Putin doesn't do that. It's Russia first, Russia. Russians, Russia. Russians, Russian. And for that, I respect him. Most other countries don't do that and won't do that. So I find that very, very interesting about him. I think the current situation is absolutely and utterly unfortunate. I think what happened is terrible. War on all sides is always terrible. I think it's unfair that we discussed Ukraine at length when this has been happening across the Middle East and Africa for decades and nobody ever gave a shit. But now people seem to give a shit about proxy wars and unfair conflicts and people dying. It's always been happening and nobody cared because they're brown or black. But now we care because they're white Europeans and their chicks are hot. So I think there's a degree of hypocrisy there. He's certainly not the bad guy everyone's saying he is. He has a point, and his point is logical and it makes sense, and he has a point to defend. And I think that to a degree he was forced into making the moves he was made. And
do you have a unique perspective with Ukraine being a neighboring of your Romania and like Zelensky and Putin going back and forward?
It is unique, yeah. Like there's obviously good and bad on both sides. Nobody's completely innocent, and those are the worst kind of conflicts because when you have a good guy and a bad guy, it's simple, right? But life's never that simple. One guy A has some good points and some bad points. Guy B has some good points and some bad points. Innocents always suffer in the end. People at the top don't even suffer, and it's really unfortunate. War's always been the same. World War II is the same. The generals sit and have dinner after millions have been massacred. It's unfortunate, and this is another thing I talk about. Life as a man and status. If you get to become a general, you know, you can participate in the battle, but if you lose, you just surrender and you have to get to have a steak with the Russians and get to go home. If you're at the bottom, you have to die with an artillery shell. So it's all, once again, about status. It's really unfortunate, but I certainly think that Putin is definitely not a stupid man. And I think the narrative that they point that he's some madman is bullshit. He's not crazy. He's not a madman. He's a very logical actor with points that not many people know or consider or understand why he's doing what he does. But I respect that he believes in Russia and sticks up for Russians. And I think that any leader of any country should do that. I think there was, I'm apolitical now, so I can't remember his name, but there was a recent president of the United States who said America first. And I think that anybody who prioritizes their own populace over the other populations of the world should do exactly that. I think that's their job. I think to do anything else is irresponsible. I think the Russians do it, the Chinese do it, the Indians do it. All the other superpowers to come are going to do that. And as long as you're in charge of a country and you decide to vacate the needs of your own populace to please some crazy ideology, wherever it will be, it makes you non-competitive, and on a long enough time frame, you're going to lose. And that's how empires fall.
It would be very interesting if you were to have a sit down with this one president. They said America first. I don't know who you're referencing, but obviously
I can't remember his name.
I forgot. I know, but if it would happen to be interesting, I don't know how long this is. Is it almost 5 hours or no? We've been going for a few hours. Okay, it feels like 5 minutes, but to the audience, some people maybe for the first time they're hearing you. Some of them are following you. No matter what you say, they're going to follow the content. At this point, coming up, upbringing, you know, band today, is there any specific belief system you follow?
I'm glad you asked that, because when they attacked me, when the Matrix attacked me, they said that I purport misogyny and I believe in chauvinistic principles and all this absolute garbage. And when they said that about me, I understood it's very important that I create a list and explain to the world exactly what I believe. So without looking unprofessional, I've written it down. I would like to actually say I've written 41 tenets of thing I believe in, and if you hear any that you disagree
41 tenets.
41 tenets.
Interesting.
If you disagree with any of them, I would love to hear feedback on it. So these are the 41 things I believe in most. And before I read out this framework, it doesn't matter if you are a Muslim, a Christian, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, weak or strong. I think if any man lives true to these tenets, they're going to have a fantastic relationship with life, and also they're going to be a good force and good influence for people around them. And I think that all in all, they're going to enjoy their experience, their human experience, and the people close to them will also enjoy their presence. So that's what this is about. These are the 41 things I believe in. So here we go. I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and competent as possible in this life. I reserve my human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit, and allow other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. I believe men and women are different, and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocence and sanctity of their children and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic or familiar relationships. I support good and honest governments and will obey their laws. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. I believe that a man's life is difficult and that he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve in their lives. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined and professional in all things. I believe that men have the sacred duty to approach everything in life from a position of strength. I believe that all men have the sacred duty to become men of upright and virtuous character and live above all possible reproach. I believe it is incumbent upon me to ruthlessly identify my own weaknesses and limitations, and I eagerly work to overcome them and become more capable in all realms. I seek to improve my personal freedom to think, act, and live true to my masculine imperative in all ways. I believe each man has a sacred duty to mold the physical body into the strongest, most resilient, and most capable version of itself. I believe that men have the sacred duty to rigorously train themselves, both physically and mentally, every day. I believe that I have the sacred duty to only eat the highest quality foods possible. I reserve the right to protect the sanctity of my bloodstream and make my own decisions about medical care and procedures. I affirm the importance of endlessly improving my mental faculties through diligent work, study, and practice. I believe in acquiring wealth and abundance in order to improve my life